Okay, so this video is really made for the Century 21 network. What we've done is we've brought in Dylan, who runs a Century 21 franchise over in Cobham. He uses our systems, and I just really wanted to talk to him openly about why he uses the systems and what he thinks, just so that you guys can get a bit of honest feedback from one of your own. So, Dylan, how long have you been an Iceberg client for now?
I think it's probably coming. I think we met back end of last year, September, October time.
Okay.
So 6 to 8 months probably.
6 to 8 months. So over that period of time, what benefits, what's happened? Has anything happened in the company whereby you sort of feel like it's been an improvement on what you had previously?
Absolutely. I think from when we first met and started discussions and then looked at using the bait system, I think the way that I look at it now is it's kind of an employee that really you can't afford to be without. Yes, it looks good for the clients when you're selling the presentation evaluation of being on, but to have somebody in essence working in your office with you, tracking all your market appraisals you've beat out on, and then not only that is they then tap you on the shoulder and say, oh, by the way, the client that you saw last week, they're actually looking at their appraisal and they're actually looking at the question of, should I use you, should I use another agent, I've been quoted cheaper fees, and that is really invaluable to pick up the phone and then have a conversation with them when a time that it's relevant to them and not you. And I've converted business from it, it's in the right place at the right time. And as I say, to have that as an employee that just sort of taps you on the shoulder and says, oh, by the way,
don't forget this guy.
It's been great, and that was just the sort of the start of our journey together.
Yeah, it's an interesting one really, because some people ask me the question of, well, a couple of things when I talked to them about that initially. They asked me, won't people think it's a bit weird if I phone them up when they're on the website? And will I actually get any extra business out of it? So my response normally is, well, you don't necessarily have to phone them the second they're on the website. You can, but generally it depends on what you already feel like that person is like. Can you call them straight away, or do you just want to know they're active and maybe call them a bit later? And will they get any extra business out of it? I often say to people, who knows? It's just a better system. What's your sort of thoughts on those two kind of questions?
I think it's that, because without that, and going back to pre-using it, it's, you're sat there kind of trying to think, oh, should I call them now? Are they thinking about me now? And then you've got something that ultimately tells you that, and I think it's the best time to call somebody, because it's when they're thinking about it in their day, as opposed to when you want to be calling them to discuss what you want to talk about.
Do people say to you like, oh, that was weird, I was just...
Yeah, a couple do, and a couple of them, it's an open thing. You tell them about the systems, because ultimately these systems are going to help us find buyers, know what buyers are looking at, and it's something to shout about.
Yeah, okay.
It's not sort of like a secret that you want to hide behind. And
so you've never had anybody say like, oh, what's going on, like,
No, they've gone, oh, that's weird, I was just thinking about you. And I said, I know you were.
Yeah. Brilliant. And what about in terms of extra business? I mean, as I say, like, from my perspective, the point of systems like this are really, obviously that tool is invaluable in the sense that what's going on right now, you're always in the right place at the right time. But I sort of talk to people, as you know, more about the long game. What about all the ones that weren't ready to go ahead? How have you found it? Have you found that, would you say that you have actually gained extra business from it, or would you say it's unquantifiable, or where's the value in it for you?
I think the value is that I think I have gained business from it. I think it's still in its infancy with me to measure it over a period of time. But we had previous valuations that we entered into bait, and I think probably before, where it was, we get very guilty of sort of out of sight, out of mind. We're really busy running around doing lots of things, and then it's popped up that these people are active and they are looking, and we've made contacts and we've been instructed. So yes, I think it's helped me with business. Yeah, absolutely.
So once you finished, well, not finished, but once you were using bait, you then bought into the entire system that we kind of offer agents, the gold package, if you like, running social media and creating content and all of that sort of stuff. Why did you do it, and how do you see that fitting into your business?
Again, I think for two reasons. A is that you've got that not taken away from you because I'm still involved in the content and what goes out, but somebody that makes sure that it goes out at the right time to the right audiences with the right messages, which allows me and frees up my time to do the other things that I love doing, that I'm good at, which is bringing the properties to the market, finding the buyers, getting them through with the process. And it's something that I was doing, but it was very sort of hit and miss, you know. And to have it super targeted to the buyers or the potential customers that you want is invaluable. You know, and I couldn't really imagine being without it.
Wow, that's amazing. So a lot of people are. It's great that you feel that way because, as you say, like you're still, even though you're 8 months in, you know, building a data-driven business is a long-term process, right? We've spoken about it before. You can't just suddenly click your fingers and you've got all this data going around that, you know, it takes years to do it. But the point is that if you don't start at some point, you get years down the line and you still haven't done it. But it takes a certain mindset, I think, to think that way because most people are only really thinking about today, so they would be thinking, well, yeah, but it hasn't got me any extra instructions today. How do you deal with that challenge in your head when you get a bill through at the end of the month, and you know there must be a conflict somewhere in there where it's like, oh God, is there anything I can get today out of this?
I think there is, but I think that's part of business. You know, if you expect everything to come right now, then I don't think it works like that. You know, it's about planning and implementing things that are going to help and benefit the growth of your business over time. And I think certainly the work that we did around buyer personas and types of client to use is invaluable, because otherwise you find yourself trying to run after everything and don't focus on the things that I think work. You know, and to have a system in place that looks after those, nurtures those, sends them stuff, keeps you in front of them, will in time come back and add to what you're still doing at that day and that time. So
I had a chat with a guy who's just opening a Century 21 office, who said, I love all of this stuff, but you know, I sort of feel like maybe I need to get going before I implement it all. And he was asking my advice on that. And obviously, maybe I'm obviously a bit biased, but I was saying, well, if I was setting up a business tomorrow, I can't imagine how I would set up a business without this stuff. How would you even get going without it? It's kind of like, oh, maybe I should wait a bit before I get phones or pens. You know, how long had you been going before you joined us?
So I opened in 2017, so I'd probably been going just about a year pretty much. And had started to do bits and pieces and explored it and started to do it myself. But I think, as you just said, I couldn't imagine if I was to close and open another agency doing it without it. You know, and I think, as you've just said, it's like, would you open and how long before you need phones? It's part of the business you need. And I think, like I said at the beginning, it's the member of staff that you can't afford not to have, I think.
Wow. So for anyone who's watching it, Century 21 people that are watching it, what would your sort of thoughts and advice be to them?
I think for someone that's used it, I can't recommend it highly enough. And I think that for the first port of call is just get in contact with Mark, have a discussion about how he can help your business, because I think everything is changing. As we know, the industry has stayed stagnant for a long time, and if you stay that way, I don't think you'll be in business in sort of 3 to 4 years' time.
Awesome. Thanks, Dylan.
Good. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay.